So this is video number 2 in a series of compensation plan, Atomy compensation plan. And in this video we'll cover more advanced information. So in this video we'll talk about how PV is divided between members and how can you actually earn money and what are the actual requirements. So let's start. So as we remember from previous videos, there is PV, it's point value, points that every product in Atomy has. And all global PV is calculated on a weekly basis. That means that purchases that I made on all Atomy platforms, on all Atomy shopping malls all over the world, in all the branches, they are calculated together. And 44% of this PV is divided between Atomy members via binary step system. So in this video I'll cover this. 20% of total PV is calculated and divided every 2 weeks or every half of the month and divided between all the leaders in Atomy. This information will be covered in the next video. And 6% PV is calculated and divided between educational center leaders. So this also will be covered in the next video. And 30% of PV remains in the company. So in this video we'll talk about this 44%. So how is it calculated and how it could be divided between all Atomy members? In this video you need to understand several new words. So the first word, or actually a phrase, it's distribution level. Distribution level. There are in total 5 distribution levels in Atomy. So first level is called sales rep. And in order to become sales rep, you need to accumulate 10,000 personal PV. If you remember, in my first video, I told you that in order to start earning money in Atomy, you need to accumulate 10,000 personal PV. After that, the calculation of your group PV starts. Second level is called agent. The third one is special agent. The fourth one is dealer. And fifth and the last is exclusive distributor. So starting from distribution level 2, there are 2 ways how can you achieve distribution level. So the first option is very straightforward and everybody can understand this, is by accumulating personal PV. So if you want to become agent by accumulating your personal PV, you need to accumulate 300,000 personal PV. For special agent, it's 700,000. For dealer, it's 1.5 million. And for exclusive distributor, it's 2.4 million personal PV. But also, and it is very important to understand, there is a second option how you can grow and receive new distribution levels. It's by group sales, it's by group PV during your whole month, your previous month. So if you want to become agent by the second option, you need to have twice as much group personal PV as required. In order to become agent with the second option, you need to accumulate twice as much group PV as required for personal PV. So if personal PV required is 300,000, the group PV required is 600,000. Group PV. So if you accumulate 600,000 group PV in your month, in your both legs, you will become agent for this month. For example, today is November. If in October I was sales rep and in my downline, in my both legs, there were more than 600,000 group PV in October. So in November, I become agent with this system. Although I have 10,000 PV, but I am an agent. So this is very important, and it is one of the most awesome features in our compensation plan. For the same goes for all other distribution levels. For special agent, it's 1.4 million group PV. For dealer, it's 3 million group PV. And for exclusive distributor, it's 4.8 million. So this is very important to understand, because this feature helps you to grow naturally without the actual requirement to gain together too much of personal PV. For example, I am a Royal Master and I am an exclusive distributor for 4 years and 6 months, but I have only 700,000 PV for all this time, because I gathered 700,000 PV and I didn't need more, because with group sales I grow naturally, because I have downline, I have a lot of consumers and I have a lot of partners, so that way I grow naturally and don't actually require to gather any more personal PV. This is very important to understand. So the requirement is to have twice as much group PV in your both legs during previous month and have previous distribution level in the previous month. So it is very important. If you don't understand it right now on the go, it's okay. You will understand it due time. Just know that there are two options how you can grow in these distribution levels. The good question is, why do we need these distribution levels? Distribution levels, they open the door for income that we can receive. And let's talk about this a bit more. But before that, let's take a look at binary steps. We have 7 levels of binary steps. So the first one, the smallest one, is 300,000 group PV. The second one is 700,000. The third one is 1.5 million. The fourth is 2.4 million. The fifth, it's 6 million PV. 6 million group PV. Sixth one is 20 million. And the final one is 50 million group PV. The most important binary step is binary step number 1. So you need to focus your attention at this one first. And for each binary step, we receive multipliers. For this binary step, we receive multiplier of 5 or 15. The next one is 30. The next one is 60, 90, 150, 250, and 300. These multipliers are multiplied by k, and this k equals around 3 euros. So every week it counts independently depending on global sales and how many multipliers partners receive all over the world. But for our convenience, I can say that today the multiplier is around 3 euros, plus minus 10% every week. So every week it's a little bit different, because we actually receive money based on percentage of the income that company receive. So if we translate this into money, we can say that if it's multiplied by 3 euros approximately, it's very important to understand. We can say that here it's 15 or 45 euros. In here it's 90 euros. And here it's 180, 270, 450, 750, and 900. So as I said, the most important binary step you need to understand is this one, the first one. And it is the only binary step that has two options, 5 or 15. Why is that? Because if you are sales rep, you receive multiplier 5. If you are agent, you receive multiplier 15 for the same amount of group PV. So you can say that it is much more profitable to become an agent than to be a sales rep. And other bigger binary steps become available when you grow in your distribution level. In order to be able to match binary step 700,000, you need to become special agent. So it's distribution level number 3. But it is very important to understand that special agent also covers and matches binary steps of 300,000. And if binary step of 300,000 PV is accumulative and it takes as much time as it required to match this step, the binary step of 700,000 should be matched in 1 day. Because if at the end of the day in South Korea, so local time in Europe can be different. So in November, during winter time, it's 4 p.m. So if at 4 p.m. you have more than 300,000 group PV in your both legs accumulated, that means your binary step of 300,000 is matched, and the calculation after that starts from 0. It is very important to understand. So before focusing your attention on this, you should focus your attention at this, at binary step number 1, and try to match it as much as possible, as often as possible, preferably every day. After that, you will grow naturally and you will be able to match bigger binary steps. In order to match binary step number 3, you need to become dealer. So in here, you need to become dealer. And all other binary steps become available to you if you become exclusive distributor. It is very important to know and understand that distribution levels, they open doors for bigger income, but actually they don't help you earn more. They just give you the opportunity to do so. If you want to earn more money, you need to help more people and you need to build bigger downline with loyal consumers and active partners. So these are binary steps. And before that, we covered the distribution levels. So let's take a look at the money you earn. Once again, let's draw our pie chart. So it's total global PV, and that is 44% that is calculated via binary steps. They are calculated from Wednesday to Tuesday. I call it binary week. And we can match binary step every day except for Sunday. In our system, Saturday and Sunday as 1 day. They are calculated and perceived as 1 day. So we can match 6 binary steps during 1 week. And we receive money every Tuesday for all the binary steps we matched, for all the multipliers we receive for the previous week. So, for example, if the week is ended on Tuesday, we receive money like after the week. It's also important to understand. That way, we receive money usually 4, sometimes 5 times per month based on the binary steps we match. One important point also you need to understand that binary step number 7 is also very remarkable, because this sets the limit of how much money we can receive via binary step. There is a limitation. So 900 euros per day is the maximum amount of money you can receive via binary steps. What does it mean? That means that leaders, the top leaders of companies that have joined way before you, and people who are at the top, people who achieved the success and achieved this limit, they receive 900 euros per day, and it doesn't even matter how much PV there is in their downline. So group PV are calculated not in millions but in billions, but they receive same amount as those who match only 50 million PV. Why it is very important? Because this sets the limit and make it so that anyone can achieve this limit and start earning the same amount of money as the top leaders of the company. This helps newcomers to earn more and become successful faster. And people who are at the top, they reach their limit and they cannot grow further. Thus, we can all become number one due time. This is one of the most remarkable points in our company. Let me illustrate you this limitation process. So in most network marketing companies, in most MLM companies, the income is calculated via this pyramid system. And you can say that 10% of people in those companies, they receive 90% of the money. So this is money and this is people. So that way, rich people become richer, and for newcomers, it's much more harder to earn money because 90% of people receive 10% of money. And that way, rich people become richer with time passing. But in Atomy, how do we solve this problem? So we just set the limit. So instead of this triangle scheme, we make it a trapeze, setting the limit. So 50 million PV is the limit. And even if you have much more group PV in your downline, that money goes down. So company doesn't take it for itself. If you look here, 44%. So it doesn't matter that it goes past those top leaders, this amount of group PV, because we, as partners of the company, we receive 44% no matter what. And this money stays in our pockets, in the pockets of partners of the company. So that way, this trapeze helps all the newcomers to achieve success, sustainable success. It is very important to understand faster. So this is one of the key elements that I fell in love with while studying the compensation plan of Atomy. On this point, I would like to finish my second video, and in the next video we'll talk about the mastership bonus, about this 20% of global PV that are calculated 2 times per month and divided between leaders who achieve ranks. Let's see